My daughter sent me a voice message meant for her husband, and what I heard made me. I'm Auntie Jasmine, a 52-year-old black woman who's seen enough in life to know when something doesn't sit right. And when my daughter Nicole accidentally sent me a voice message meant for her husband, a message where she laughed about how she'd been draining my business accounts for 2 years while I trusted her as my bookkeeper, I knew exactly what I had to do. 3 months later, at her own baby shower that I planned and paid for, I played that recording for everyone, had the police waiting outside, and watched her get arrested in front of 200 guests while her husband tried to run. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how a mother's love became a mother's reckoning. I sat at my kitchen table that Tuesday morning, staring at my phone like it was a snake that had just bitten me. The voice message had come through at 6:47 a.m. I knew the exact time because I'd looked at it 17 times already. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. The coffee in my favorite mug, the one Nicole had given me for Mother's Day 5 years ago with "World's Best Mom" printed on it, had gone cold an hour ago. The morning light coming through my kitchen window felt wrong. Too bright. Too cheerful. The old clock on the wall kept ticking, each second a reminder that my world had just shattered and time had the audacity to keep moving forward. My throat was so tight I could barely swallow. Had I been such a fool? 34 years. I'd raised that girl for 34 years. Changed her diapers, walked her to school, sat up nights when she was sick, worked 3 jobs to put her through college. And this was how she repaid me. I pressed play on the message again. Maybe I'd heard it wrong. Maybe my 52-year-old ears were playing tricks on me. But no. Nicole's voice came through crystal clear, that same sweet voice that used to call me Mommy and tell me I was her hero. Baby, I'm telling you, she has no idea. Nicole's voice actually laughed. Mom's so busy running around trying to keep the salon going, she doesn't even look at the accounts anymore. I've been transferring money for almost 2 years now. We're up to $340,000. Her husband Marcus's voice in the background. You sure she won't notice? Marcus, please. My mother trusts me completely. She made me her bookkeeper because she said I was the only person she could count on. More laughter. The irony is beautiful. By the time she figures it out, if she ever does, we'll be in our new house, and what's she gonna do? Call the cops on her own daughter, her only child, the mother of her grandchild. The recording ended there. My finger had apparently hit something that stopped it. I set the phone down before I threw it across the room. The silence in my house was deafening. I remembered when Nicole was 7 years old and came running into this same kitchen, tears streaming down her face because a girl at school had stolen her lunch money. I'd held her while she cried, wiped her tears, and told her that stealing was the worst thing a person could do because it meant they had no respect for what others worked for. Baby girl, I'd said, smoothing down her cornrows, you never take what doesn't belong to you. You hear me? Never. Because when you steal, you don't just take someone's money or their things, you take their trust. And trust, once it's broken, it's almost impossible to fix. She'd nodded solemnly, her big brown eyes looking up at me with such innocence. I'll never steal, Mommy, I promise. I'd believed her. I remembered her high school graduation. I'd worked double shifts at the hospital for months to buy her that car, a used Honda Civic, nothing fancy, but reliable and safe. The way she'd screamed with joy, thrown her arms around my neck, told me I was the best mother in the world. I love you so much, Mommy. I'm going to make you so proud. I remembered helping her move into her college dorm, both of us crying as we hugged goodbye. I remembered her wedding day 4 years ago when I'd walked her down the aisle because her father had left us when she was 3. She'd squeezed my hand and whispered, "Thank you for everything, Mama, for sacrificing so much for me." I remembered last year when she told me she was pregnant, how we'd cried happy tears together, how she'd asked me to be in the delivery room with her. "You're going to be the best grandmother," she'd said. "This baby is so lucky to have you." I remembered 2 years ago when my salon Jasmine's Touch, the business I'd built from nothing over 20 years, had gotten big enough that I needed help with the books. I'd asked Nicole. She'd just gotten her business degree, and I was so proud of her. She'd hugged me tight and said, "Mama, I won't let you down, I promise." All those memories, all those moments of love and trust and sacrifice, now they felt like lies. How did we get here? How did my baby girl turn into someone who could steal from her own mother and laugh about it? The first sign should have been obvious looking back now. About 2 years ago, right around when Nicole started doing my books, she suddenly got distant. Not dramatically so, just little things. She stopped coming by for Sunday dinners as often. "Marcus and I are just so busy with work," she'd say. "You understand, right, Mama?" Of course I understood. I was busy too, running my salon, managing my stylists, keeping everything afloat. I had 7 stylists working for me, a thriving business in the heart of Atlanta, clients who'd been coming to me for years. I'd built something real, something solid. When Nicole did come by, she seemed distracted, always on her phone. "Sorry, Mama," she'd say, barely looking up. "Work stuff." Then there were the new things, expensive things. 6 months ago, she showed up in a brand new Mercedes SUV, bright white with all the bells and whistles. "Baby, this is beautiful," I'd said, running my hand along the hood. "Must have cost a fortune." "Marcus got a raise," she'd said quickly, too quickly. "Big promotion at work." I'd believed her. Why wouldn't I? Marcus worked in tech. I didn't know much about it, but I knew those jobs paid well. Then came the designer purses. Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Chanel. Every time I saw her, she had a new one. "Girl, you're doing well for yourself," I teased. She just smiled. "We're very blessed, Mama." 3 months ago, they told me they were buying a house. Not just any house, a $850,000 house in Buckhead. "How can you afford that?" I'd asked, genuinely curious and proud. "We've been saving," Nicole had said. "And Marcus's job, like I said, we're doing really well." I'd hugged her, told her how proud I was, my baby buying a house in Buckhead. I'd made it out of the projects to give her a better life, and look at her now. The irony was, I'd just been thinking how grateful I was that my business was stable enough to help her if she ever needed it. I'd even told her last month, "Baby, if you ever need help with that house payment, you let me know. That's what I'm here for." She'd hugged me tight. "You're the best, Mama, but we're good. I promise." I'd been such a fool. The physical evidence started revealing itself once I knew what to look for. That same Tuesday, after I'd collected myself enough to think straight, I went to my salon. It was early. We didn't open until 9, but I had keys to everything. My office was in the back, a small room I'd decorated with photos of Nicole over the years. Now those photos felt like they were mocking me. I sat down at my computer and opened the accounting software. Nicole had set it all up for me 2 years ago, shown me how to use it, but she'd been the one managing everything day to day. "You focus on the clients, Mama," she'd said. "Let me handle the boring number stuff." I'd been grateful. I hated paperwork. Now, as I scrolled through the accounts, I felt sick. Transfers, dozens of them. Some small $500 here, $1,000 there. Those had been going on for almost 2 years, like she'd said. But in the last 6 months, they'd gotten bigger. $5,000, $10,000, $1 for $25,000 just last month. All of them marked as business expenses or equipment purchases or contractor payments. All of them going to an account I didn't recognize. My hands shook as I clicked through screen after screen. The room started spinning. $340,000. She'd said $340,000 in that voice message. I did the math. She'd actually taken $367,000. My baby girl had stolen $367,000 from me. I thought about confronting her right then, calling her, demanding answers. But something stopped me. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was the way she'd laughed on that recording. Maybe it was the disbelief that she could do this and then look me in the eye every week and tell me she loved me. There must be an explanation, I thought. Maybe she borrowed it. Maybe she was planning to pay it back. Maybe my phone buzzed, a text from Nicole. "Hey, Mama, can you come to lunch with me tomorrow? Want to talk about baby shower plans? Love you." I stared at that text for a full minute. She wanted me to help plan her baby shower. She wanted me to celebrate her pregnancy while she was actively stealing from me. The audacity. I texted back, "Of course, baby, where and when?" "The cafe on Peachtree at noon. I'm craving their salads. You're the best, Mama." Red, I set down the phone and made a decision. If she wanted to play games, I'd play, but I'd play to win. That night, I called my best friend, Diane. We'd known each other since we were both young mothers working at the same hospital, me as a nurse, her in administration. She'd seen me through my divorce, through building my business, through everything. "Girl, I need to see you," I said. "Tonight. It's urgent." Diane heard something in my voice because she didn't ask questions. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. When she arrived, I played her the voice message. I watched her face go through the same journey mine had. Confusion, disbelief, shock, rage. That little Diane caught herself. "Jasmine, honey, I am so sorry. What are you going to do?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Part of me wants to call the police right now, but she's pregnant, Diane. She's carrying my grandchild." "She thought about that before she started stealing from you." I know, but no buts. Diane grabbed my hands. Jasmine, you listen to me. You're one of the strongest women I know. You built that salon from nothing. You raised Nicole by yourself. You don't deserve this. That girl needs to face consequences. I need to know everything first. I need to understand how deep this goes. Diane nodded slowly. My nephew, Jerome, remember him? He's a private investigator now, licensed and everything. He's good and he's discreet. You want me to call him? I thought about it for maybe 3 seconds. Yes. I met Jerome the next morning at a small coffee shop in Decatur, far enough from my neighborhood that no one would recognize us. He was a serious young man in his 30s, dressed in a simple suit with kind eyes that reminded me of his mother. Auntie Diane told me you need help, he said, sliding into the booth across from me. I'm sorry for what you're going through, Mrs. Thompson. Call me Jasmine, I said. I slid a folder across to him. I'd spent all last night printing out bank statements, transfer records, everything I could find. My daughter has been stealing from my business. I need to know everything, where the money went, what she's doing with it, if anyone else is involved. Jerome flipped through the papers, his expression growing more serious with each page. This is substantial. Have you considered just calling the police? I need the full picture first, I said. Can you help me? He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. I'll find the truth, Mrs. Thompson. I promise you that. The lunch with Nicole that day was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I had to sit across from her, smile, talk about baby shower decorations and gender reveal ideas, all while knowing what she'd done. She looked radiant, her pregnancy glow making her even more beautiful. She was showing now, about 5 months along, and she kept putting her hand on her belly in that way expectant mothers do. Mama, I was thinking we could do a garden theme, she said, scrolling through Pinterest on her phone. With lots of flowers and butterflies, and maybe we could have it at that event space near your salon, the one with the beautiful patio. That sounds lovely, baby, I forced myself to say. How much does that venue cost? Oh, don't worry about that, Mama. Marcus and I can cover it. I bet you can, I thought, with my money. No, I insisted. Let me throw you this baby shower. It's my first grandchild. I want to do this for you. Her eyes got teary. Mama, you're so good to me, I don't deserve you. You got that right, I thought, but out loud I said, of course you do, baby. You're my daughter. I love you. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I love you too, Mama, so much. I squeezed back and smiled, even though inside I was breaking. So tell me about this new house you're buying. Her face lit up. Oh, Mama, it's gorgeous. 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, huge backyard. The baby's room is going to be perfect. You have to come see it. I'd love to. When do you close? Next month, she said. Right after the baby shower, actually. It's all coming together perfectly. Perfectly. With money she stole from me. I forced myself to stay calm, to keep smiling, to play the role of the proud, supportive mother. That's what I'd always been, after all. Why should she expect anything different? Jerome called me 3 days later. Mrs. Thompson, I need to meet with you. I've found some things. We met at the same coffee shop. He had a thick folder this time. It's worse than we thought, he said, his voice grim. My blood ran cold. How? The money from your accounts, all $367,000 of it went into a joint account under Nicole and Marcus's names. From there, it's been used for everything. The Merceds, the designer bags, jewelry, expensive dinners, trips to Dubai and Paris. And yes, the down payment on that house in Buckhead. $367,000, I whispered. That's almost half of everything I've built. There's more, Jerome said. Marcus didn't get a promotion. In fact, he got fired from his job 8 months ago. He's been unemployed this whole time. I felt the room spin. What? Nicole's been supporting both of them entirely with money from your business. As far as I can tell, they have almost no legitimate income. But she told me, she lied, Jerome said gently, about everything, and there's something else you should know. I didn't think my heart could sink any lower. What? This isn't their first time doing something like this. I found court records. 3 years ago, before they got married, Marcus was involved in a fraud case. He talked his grandmother into signing over her house, then sold it out from under her. The family settled it privately to avoid prosecution, but it's all in the civil records. So he's a con artist. Yes, ma'am, and Nicole, I'm sorry to tell you this, but based on the timeline she knew about it, they started dating right after that case was settled. I sat back in my chair, trying to process everything. My daughter hadn't just stolen from me. She'd married a con artist. She'd planned this, maybe even for years. There's one more thing, Jerome said. I've been following them, taking photographs like you asked. Yesterday, they met with a real estate lawyer. I couldn't hear everything, but I managed to get some audio. He pulled out a small recording device. You might want to prepare yourself for this. He pressed play. Marcus's voice. So once we close on the house, there's no way she can touch it, right? Even if she finds out about the money. A man's voice, presumably the lawyer. If the money's been transferred to your account and you've used it to purchase property in your names, it becomes much more complicated. She'd have to prove fraud, which is difficult, especially since Ms. Nicole had legitimate access to the accounts. Nicole's voice. And even if she did try something, what's she going to do? She's not going to send her pregnant daughter to jail. She's too soft for that. Marcus. That's what I keep saying. She'll probably cry about it, be mad for a while, but she'll get over it. Family always does. Nicole, laughing. Right, and honestly, after everything she's got, she can afford to lose a little. She acts like she's so successful, but really, I'm the one who built up those accounts. I'm the one who managed everything properly. If anything, I deserve this money for my work. The recording ended. I sat there in silence. The betrayal was complete. Not just the stealing, but the way they talked about me. The way they laughed. She thought I was soft. She thought I'd just get over it. She didn't know me at all. Mrs. Thompson. Jerome's voice brought me back to the present. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said, my voice cold and steady now. The shock had burned away, leaving only clarity. How much of this can be proven in court? All of it. I've documented everything. The transfers, the timeline, the purchases. I've got photographs of them at high-end restaurants, shopping at stores they couldn't afford on their legitimate income. I've got recordings that show intent to defraud. And you've got that original voice message, which is the smoking gun. What do you recommend I do? Honestly, call the police right now. This is embezzlement, it's fraud, it's theft on a massive scale. She could face serious prison time. She's pregnant, I said automatically. I know, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. But Mrs. Thompson, Jasmine, she stole from you. She planned it, she's bragging about it. And from what I can tell, she has no intention of stopping or making it right. I thought about that for a long moment. Then I thought about the baby shower. The one Nicole wanted me to throw for her. An idea started forming in my mind. A terrible, perfect idea. Jerome, I said slowly, how would you like to make some extra money? I called my lawyer next. Barbara Chen had handled the legal incorporation of my salon years ago, and she'd been my lawyer ever since. She was tough, smart, and didn't waste time on sympathy. Jasmine, she said when I walked into her office, you look terrible. What's happened? I told her everything, showed her everything. The voice message, Jerome's evidence, all of it. Barbara's face was stone by the end. This is criminal. Multiple charges, embezzlement, fraud, theft. You need to press charges. I will, I said. But I need your help with something first. What? I'm going to give her enough rope to hang herself. And when she does, I want to make sure everything is locked down tight so she can't wiggle out of it. Barbara leaned back in her chair. I'm listening. Over the next 6 weeks, I became an actress. An Oscar-worthy performance of the loving, clueless mother. I met with Nicole regularly to plan her baby shower. We picked out decorations, chose the menu, sent invitations. I smiled and laughed and played my role perfectly. Auntie Jasmine is going all out for this, Nicole had told her friends during one planning meeting, right in front of me. I'd insisted on being called Auntie Jasmine by her friends instead of Mrs. Thompson. It felt warmer, more familial. She's the best grandmother already. The irony burned. I watched Nicole and Marcus house hunt, congratulated them when they closed on their dream home. I even helped them move in, carrying boxes into rooms bought with my money. Thank you so much, Mama, Nicole had said, hugging me in their new kitchen. We couldn't have done this without you. Truer words were never spoken. All the while, Jerome was building the case. More recordings, more photographs, more evidence of their spending, their lies, their complete disregard for what they'd done. Barbara was preparing the legal documents. She'd secured everything I owned, made sure Nicole couldn't access any more of my money, prepared lawsuits and criminal complaints ready to file the moment I gave the word. I'd also hired an off-duty police officer for the baby shower. Just in case there are any problems, I'd told the event coordinator. With so many people, you never know. The officer, Detective Martinez, a woman who'd been more than happy to help once she heard the story, was very understanding. I'd even contacted Marcus's grandmother, the one he'd scammed. She was more than willing to provide a statement and testimony about his past fraud. Everything was in place. I smiled at breakfast with my daughter as if nothing was wrong. I helped her register for baby gifts. I threw her a beautiful bridal-style welcome party. I played the role of doting mother and soon-to-be grandmother. And every night I lay awake in my bed, thinking about how they'd laughed. How they'd said I was too soft to do anything about it. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The baby shower was scheduled for a Saturday in late April. Beautiful weather, perfect for the garden venue Nicole had wanted. I'd spared no expense, not that it mattered, since I'd be getting reimbursed by the court for all of this soon enough. 200 guests. Friends, family, coworkers from my salon, people from Nicole's life, Marcus's family, everyone who mattered. The venue looked like something out of a magazine. White and gold decorations, flowers everywhere, a beautiful multi-tiered cake, a gift table already overflowing with presents. String lights overhead would make everything magical when the sun went down. I'd even hired a photographer and videographer. I wanted everything documented. Nicole arrived at 2 p.m., glowing in a white maternity dress. She hugged me tight. "Mama, this is beautiful. You really didn't have to do all this." "Of course I did," I said, hugging her back. "You're my daughter, my only child. This is my first grandchild. I wanted it to be perfect." Marcus shook my hand. "Thanks, Jasmine, this is really generous." Generous, the audacity. "Family takes care of family," I said, smiling at both of them. "That's what we do." The party started. People arrived, mingled, cooed over Nicole's belly. There were games, guess the baby food flavor, baby bingo, all the usual shower activities. Nicole was the center of attention, laughing and radiant. I watched her, and for a moment, just a moment, I felt my resolve waver. She was my baby, I'd raised her, and she was carrying my grandchild. But then I remembered the recording, the laughter, the way they'd called me soft, the way they'd stolen from me without a shred of remorse. I forced myself to stay calm, to wait for the right moment. That moment came at 4 p.m., right when we were supposed to cut the cake. I stood up, tapping my glass to get everyone's attention. The chatter died down as 200 pairs of eyes turned to me. "I want to thank everyone for coming," I said, my voice clear and strong. "This is such a special day. Nicole, honey, come stand next to me." Nicole came up beaming, thinking this was going to be some touching speech about how excited I was to be a grandmother. Marcus stood behind her, his hand on her shoulder. "I've been thinking a lot lately about family," I continued. "About trust, about what it means to be a mother and what I want to teach my grandchild." People nodded, smiling. "And I realized that the most important lesson I can teach is this: actions have consequences." Nicole's smile faltered just slightly. "See, about 2 months ago, I received something interesting." I pulled out my phone. A voice message from my daughter. It was meant for her husband, but she accidentally sent it to me instead. Nicole's face went pale. "Mama, let me play it for everyone," I said, connecting my phone to the venue's sound system. "Mama, no, please." Nicole's voice was panicked now, but I pressed play. Nicole's voice filled the venue, crystal clear. "Baby, I'm telling you, she has no idea. Mom's so busy running around trying to keep the salon going, she doesn't even look at the accounts anymore. I've been transferring money for almost 2 years now. We're up to $340,000. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Marcus's voice. "You sure she won't notice?" "Marcus, please, my mother trusts me completely. She made me her bookkeeper because she said I was the only person she could count on. The irony is beautiful. By the time she figures it out, if she ever does, we'll be in our new house, and what's she gonna do? Call the cops on her own daughter, her only child, the mother of her grandchild." I stopped the recording. The silence was deafening. Nicole was crying now. "Mama, I can explain, can you?" I kept my voice calm, even though I was shaking inside. "Can you explain how you stole $367,000 from me? How you used it to buy your car, your house, your entire lifestyle? How you've been living off my hard work while lying to my face?" "It's not like that." Nicole was sobbing. "Mama, please, you don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly." I pulled out a folder. "I understand that Marcus here was fired from his job 8 months ago and never told me. I understand that you've been supporting both of you entirely with stolen money. I understand that Marcus has a history of fraud. He did the same thing to his own grandmother 3 years ago." Marcus's family gasped. Apparently, they hadn't known that detail. "I also understand," I continued, my voice getting harder, "that you met with a real estate lawyer to make sure I couldn't get my money back." And I have a recording of that meeting where you both laughed about how I was too soft to do anything about it. I played that recording too. The whole thing, their laughter, their mockery, their complete disregard for me. When it ended, Nicole tried to grab my arm. "Mama, please, I'm pregnant. Think about the baby. You should have thought about the baby before you became a thief," I said, stepping back. "You should have thought about your child before you decided to commit fraud." I turned to the crowd. Most people were in shock. Some were crying. Nicole's friends looked horrified. My stylist from the salon looked furious. "I want everyone here to know what kind of people they really are," I said. "I want you all to see that these aren't just victims of circumstance. These are criminals who planned this, executed it, and laughed about it." I looked at Detective Martinez, who had been standing quietly by the entrance. She stepped forward now, and I saw the moment Nicole realized what was happening. "No," Nicole whispered. "Mama, no, please, Detective Martinez," I said clearly. "These are the two individuals I told you about. I have all the evidence ready for you." The detective approached Nicole and Marcus. "Nicole Thompson and Marcus Thompson, you're both under arrest for embezzlement and fraud." "You can't do this," Marcus shouted, trying to back away. "You're her mother." "I'm a victim of your crime," I said coldly. "And unlike what you thought, I'm not too soft to do what's right." Marcus tried to run. He actually tried to run, pushing through the crowd toward the exit. But Detective Martinez's partner, who'd been stationed outside just in case, stopped him. There was a brief scuffle, and then Marcus was on the ground, being handcuffed. Nicole was screaming, begging. "Mama, please, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Please don't do this. Think about the baby. Think about your grandchild." I walked up to her, looked her in the eyes. "I am thinking about that baby. I'm thinking that child deserves to learn that stealing is wrong, that actions have consequences, that you can't just take what doesn't belong to you and expect people to be too soft to fight back." "Auntie J, please," she sobbed, using the nickname she'd called me since she was little. Hearing it now felt like another betrayal. "I'll pay it back, I'll make it right, please." "You had 2 years to make it right," I said. "You chose not to." They put handcuffs on her too. She was sobbing so hard she could barely stand. As they led them both out, the entire crowd of 200 people watched in stunned silence. Some of them were crying, some were angry. Nicole's friends tried to follow, shouting that this was wrong, that I was a terrible mother. But most people just stared at Nicole and Marcus with disgust and disappointment. I stood there, watching my daughter get arrested at her own baby shower, and I felt nothing, no regret, no second thoughts, just a cold certainty that I'd done the right thing. At the entrance, Nicole turned back one last time. "I hate you," she screamed at me. "I hate you, you'll never see your grandchild, never." I didn't respond, I just watched her go. When they were gone, I turned back to the crowd. Most people looked shocked, but I also saw understanding in many faces, especially the other mothers, the other business owners who knew what it meant to build something from nothing. "I'm sorry you all had to see that," I said, "but I wanted witnesses. I wanted people to know the truth, because Nicole is going to tell her story, and Marcus is going to tell his story, and I needed you all to hear what really happened." One of my stylists, Keisha, stood up. "Auntie Jasmine," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "you did the right thing. That girl stole from you. She don't deserve your mercy." Several other people nodded and murmured agreement. "The baby shower is over," I said. "The gifts will be donated to a women's shelter for mothers in need. The food is paid for, so please eat and take some home. I'm going to go now." I walked out with my head high, leaving behind the perfect baby shower I'd created specifically to destroy the people who'd tried to destroy me. The legal aftermath was swift and brutal. Nicole and Marcus were both charged with multiple counts of embezzlement, fraud, and theft. The evidence was overwhelming. Jerome's investigation, the recordings, the bank records, all of it. Marcus tried to claim he didn't know anything about it, that it was all Nicole. But Jerome had recordings of him planning with her, discussing how much they could take, how to hide it. Nicole tried to claim I'd given her permission to use the money, but the voice message proved she knew it was wrong, that she was hiding it from me. Their lawyer tried to get sympathy by talking about the pregnancy. But as my lawyer Barbara pointed out to the judge, Nicole had thought about the pregnancy before she chose to commit crimes. The house in Buckhead was seized. The court ordered it sold, with the proceeds going back to me. The Mercedes was repossessed. All their assets were frozen. Nicole's bail was set high enough that they couldn't make it, not with all their money tied up in my stolen accounts. They sat in jail for 2 weeks before Marcus's parents managed to scrape together enough to get them out. But by then, the story had spread. The video from the baby shower, yes, I'd had it recorded, went viral. Not because I posted it, but because several guests did. "Grandmother has pregnant daughter arrested at baby shower after exposing theft" was the headline that kept popping up. The comments were divided. Some people called me cruel, said I should have handled it privately, said I was a terrible mother who valued money over family. But most people understood. They saw the recordings. They heard Nicole and Marcus laughing about how I was too soft. They understood that this wasn't about the money, it was about the betrayal. My salon actually got more business. People respected that I'd stood up for myself, that I hadn't let family get away with stealing from me. Marcus's family disowned them both. Turned out, they hadn't known about his past fraud against his grandmother, and they were disgusted when the truth came out. Nicole's friends slowly abandoned her as more details emerged. It's one thing to steal when you're desperate. It's another to steal while posting pictures from Paris on Instagram. The criminal trial took 8 months. I had to testify, had to relive everything. But Jerome's evidence and my recordings made it an open and shut case. Nicole pleaded guilty to avoid prison time while pregnant. The judge sentenced her to 5 years, but agreed to delay the sentence until after she gave birth and recovered. Marcus got 7 years, no delay. He went to prison immediately. Nicole gave birth to a baby girl in November, alone except for a court-appointed advocate. She named her Hope, which I learned through the court system. I didn't go to the hospital. Part of me wanted to, she was my grandchild after all, but I'd meant what I said at the baby shower. Actions have consequences. 2 months after Hope was born, Nicole began serving her sentence. Hope went to live with Marcus's parents, who had grudgingly agreed to take her in. I received a letter from Nicole in prison. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity got the better of me. "Mama," it read, "I'm sorry. I know you'll never believe me, but I'm sorry. I don't know why I did it. I got caught up in wanting things, in trying to impress Marcus's friends, in trying to prove I was successful. I took advantage of your trust, and that was wrong. I know you'll never forgive me. I know I'll never see you or Hope again. But I wanted you to know that I do love you, even though I showed it in the worst possible way. I hope someday you can be happy again." I read it 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer and haven't looked at it since. It's been a year now since the baby shower. My life has found a new rhythm. The salon is doing better than ever. I hired a professional bookkeeper, not family, never again, and I keep careful track of everything myself now too. I've started mentoring young women in business, teaching them about financial literacy and protecting themselves from fraud. I tell my story as a cautionary tale about trust and family. I've joined a support group for victims of family financial abuse. Turns out, it's more common than I thought. Hearing other people's stories has helped me process my own. I still think about Nicole sometimes. I wonder if she's truly remorseful or just sorry she got caught. I wonder about Hope, my granddaughter, who I've never met. The court sends me updates occasionally. She's healthy, growing well, hitting her milestones. Marcus's parents have reached out a few times, asking if I want to be part of Hope's life. They've apologized for their son, said they didn't raise him to be a criminal. They seem like good people who got dealt a bad hand with their son. I've thought about it, really thought about it. Hope is innocent in all this. She didn't ask for any of this. But every time I think about reaching out, I remember that recording. I remember Nicole's laugh. I remember her saying I was too soft. Maybe someday I'll be ready. Maybe when Hope is older and can understand what happened, I'll reach out and tell her the truth about her parents. Tell her that I did love her mother, but that love doesn't mean accepting abuse. For now, I'm focusing on healing, on rebuilding, on the business I spent 20 years creating. Some people still ask me if I regret having Nicole arrested, if I regret doing it so publicly, if I regret not giving her a chance to pay me back privately. The answer is no. She had 2 years to come clean, 2 years to admit what she'd done, 2 years to make it right. Instead, she laughed about it. She mocked me. She called me soft. She forgot one thing: that soft doesn't mean weak. That kind doesn't mean stupid. That maternal love has limits, and theft is one of them. My lawyer Barbara tells me I'll have all my money back within 2 years, once all the assets are sold and the court orders are processed. The house, the car, everything they bought with my money, it's all being liquidated. Jerome has become a good friend. He's helped me secure my business, set up better financial protections, make sure nothing like this can happen again. Diane still comes over for coffee every Sunday. We talk about everything except Nicole, unless I bring her up. She's learned when I need to talk about it, and when I need the distraction of normal life. My stylists at the salon have been incredibly loyal. They all knew Nicole, had watched her grow up coming to the salon after school. Some of them cried when they learned what she'd done. But they've stood by me, and business has never been better. I've even started dating again, nothing serious, just coffee dates with a nice man I met at church. It's strange, thinking about opening my heart to someone after everything that's happened. But life goes on. The irony is, if Nicole had just asked me for money, I would have given it to her. Not $367,000, but enough to help with a house down payment to help them through Marcus's unemployment. That's what family does. But she didn't ask. She stole. And that's a choice she made. Looking back now, I realize that the voice message was both a curse and a blessing. A curse because it shattered everything I thought I knew about my daughter. A blessing because it showed me the truth before they could do even more damage. Some people say I was too harsh, that I should have given her another chance. That family is more important than money. But this was never about the money. This was about respect, about integrity, about the values I tried to teach her from the time she was a little girl crying about stolen lunch money. You never take what doesn't belong to you. Because when you steal, you don't just take someone's money, you take their trust. She took my trust. And trust, once broken, is almost impossible to fix. Nicole will be released from prison in 4 years if she gets good behavior credit. By then, Hope will be 5 years old enough to know that mommy went away, old enough to start asking questions. I don't know what Nicole will tell her. I don't know what kind of relationship they'll have, or if Marcus, who will be in prison even longer, will be part of their lives at all. What I do know is that Hope will grow up knowing that actions have consequences, that you can't steal and lie and expect to get away with it just because of family bonds. That's a hard lesson, but it's an important one. As for me, I'm 52 years old and I'm rebuilding my life. My business is strong. My friendships are solid. My health is good. I have things to look forward to. I've learned that you can love someone and still hold them accountable. That being a good mother doesn't mean being a doormat. That protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Some nights, I still lie awake thinking about what I could have done differently. Should I have noticed the signs earlier? Should I have been more involved in the accounting? Should I have questioned her more when her lifestyle suddenly improved? But then I remember, I wasn't the one who did something wrong. I was the victim, and victims shouldn't have to carry the guilt of their abusers. Nicole made her choices. I made mine. She chose to steal, to lie, to betray the person who loved her most in the world. I chose to stand up for myself, to demand justice, to show that family ties don't excuse criminal behavior. And I would make the same choice again. Because at the end of the day, the lesson I want to leave for Hope, for other mothers, for anyone who's ever been betrayed by someone they love is this: you are not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are not required to accept abuse in the name of family. You are not required to be soft just because someone expects it. And when someone tries to take advantage of your kindness, you have every right to show them that kindness is not weakness. That's what being Auntie Jasmine means to me now. Not just being the family matriarch who everyone comes to for advice and support, but being a woman who knows her worth, who protects what she's built, who refuses to be anyone's fool. My salon still has the same name, Jasmine's Touch, but now it means something different to me. It's not just about styling hair or building a business. It's about having the strength to touch your own life, to shape it the way you want, to refuse to let others take from you. I'm proud of that. Proud of what I built, proud of how I protected it, proud of the stand I took. Some people will never understand. They'll always see me as the mother who had her pregnant daughter arrested, the grandmother who chose money over family. But those people didn't hear that recording. They didn't feel the betrayal of discovering that the child you sacrificed everything for thought you were stupid enough to never notice. They didn't experience the mockery, the contempt, the complete disregard. I did, and I responded the only way I could while still respecting myself, with justice, with consequences, with the truth, and I sleep just fine at night. Today, as I sit in my office at the salon, looking at the photos on my wall, photos I've replaced so they don't include Nicole, I think about the future. I think about Hope, who's almost a year old now, who has her mother's eyes but hopefully not her mother's values, who deserves a chance at a better life than the one her parents gave her. Maybe someday I'll reach out to her. Maybe when she's old enough to understand the complexities of what happened, I'll tell her the whole story. I'll tell her that I loved her mother deeply, but that love has boundaries. Maybe she'll hate me for it. Maybe she'll understand. Either way, I'll know I did the right thing. Because the alternative was to let Nicole get away with it. To be that soft, foolish mother they laughed about. To teach my granddaughter that family means never facing consequences for your actions. And I couldn't do that. I built my business from nothing. I raised my daughter alone. I survived a divorce, poverty, discrimination, every obstacle that life threw at me. I didn't do all that just to let someone, even my own child, steal it away while laughing about how naive I was. So yes, I had my daughter arrested at her own baby shower. Yes, I made it public. Yes, I made sure everyone knew what she'd done. And I'd do it again. Because I'm Auntie Jasmine. I'm 52 years old. I'm a Black woman who has built something real in this world, and I refuse to apologize for protecting it. That voice message my daughter sent me by accident, it was meant to destroy me, to mock me, to prove how stupid I was. Instead, it became my weapon, my evidence, my vindication. And that, I think, is the best revenge of all.